I noticed there's this beneficial impact that a karma yogi has on the whole, on the environment, on the people around. It's a very beautiful thing to notice. And I wanted to do more of that. I wanted to be more of service. I've been on this spiritual path of yoga and Tantra for 12 years, and I heard about karma yoga pretty much from the very beginning of it. I read about it first in the books of Vivekananda and Shivananda, I think, and a bit in the Bhagavad Gita. So I was looking still back then for a spiritual path, and I came across this beautiful description in the Bhagavad Gita that says, well, basically if you do anything, everything that you do, and you offer it all to the divine, this is a spiritual path in itself. And of course I was very attracted to it, because it meant like you don't have to do much, right? You continue doing everything that you do, and you offer it to the divine, and then that's it. That's a spiritual practice in itself. That's going to be extraordinary. You don't have to meditate, you don't have to do hatha yoga, and you can continue being lazy from this point of view and just do whatever you do, but you offer it all to God. So I started doing that. I started offering it all to God. I started doing what we call consecration, and I was consecrating a lot of my actions, the fruits of my actions, to the divine. And I had a very nice feeling. It was very nice to feel that I'm bringing the divine, I'm bringing this connection with the Supreme into whatever I was doing there. Driving the car, washing the dishes, cleaning my room, meeting my friends. I was offering all the fruits of these actions to the Supreme Absolute. It's a very simple practice, like the Bhagavad Gita describes it. And I started feeling more and more this communion with the great Absolute, the great totality that surrounds us continuously. And there was this state of integration, the feeling that I'm somehow playing the role in the universe, and I'm there doing what I'm supposed to be doing in a harmonious way that doesn't cause any ripples, that doesn't cause, like the Bhagavad Gita says, it doesn't cause any karma, basically. Your actions remain somehow free of consequences. And I developed this practice. It was very nice for me. I already had a good connection with the divine, with God and with the Supreme back then, so for me it was quite easy to pick this aspect up of offering it all to the Supreme. And then about a year after I started doing this, I moved to England, and there I was studying for my master's degree, and at some point I had to move to London from Manchester to write my dissertation. And the cheapest option for me to live in London would be to start living in an ashram. That was the first time I ever entered an ashram. And the moment I did that, I just stepped into the ashram and I said, I want to stay here for definitely longer than my dissertation will take to be written. So I moved into the ashram, and there's an interesting thing there. They have this, for me back then it was interesting, because they had these spiritual practices, like you would expect in an ashram. You do 2 hours of hatha yoga, half an hour of meditation, but then you also do 6 hours of karma yoga per week. And it wasn't very clear for me, okay, what's the difference between karma yoga when you just, you do your own things and you consecrate, you offer to the Supreme the fruits of your actions, and how can this be contained into 6 particular hours per week? And then I understood that this 6 hours per week implied that I'm actually doing something selfless, in the sense that, okay, I'm pausing my particular activities, my particular interests, and I'm taking some responsibilities within the community. I'm doing something for the community. And I do that as a karma yoga, in a state of complete selflessness, trying to give my best to be completely selfless in this practice, not to expect anything in return. And so I started doing that. And initially it was something very, very basic. I was just cleaning the yoga halls every now and then. I was taking care of some very basic communication things, doing the banners for them, making the tables that they were using there for the yoga classes and everything. So very basic jobs. And it was interesting. I didn't feel anything particular. By this time I already started practicing hatha yoga and meditation quite intensely, and I was feeling I'm getting much more from these practices, spiritually speaking. Yeah, the nice states for me would appear when I'm doing, let's say, Uddiyana Bandha, Nauli Kriya, when I'm doing some nice hatha yoga, or when I'm meditating. There weren't so many nice, interesting spiritual states when I would just be doing this 6 hours of, washing the floors and printing the tables and whatever else I was doing there. So it felt for me like, yeah, maybe this whole karma yoga thing, I mean, it's nice, but it's not such a strong spiritual practice. It does not have such strong effects after all, because by now, like I said, I already started developing a somewhat solid practice in hatha yoga and in meditation. So it didn't really stand out for me as a spiritual practice. It was nice that it was connecting me to God, it was connecting me to the Supreme, and I continued to feel this connection, but it didn't feel like it was growing from there. Truth is, I also wasn't paying a lot of attention. I wasn't necessarily aiming to maintain this state of selflessness constant throughout these 6 hours a week that I was doing in the yoga studio, in the yoga center. I wasn't aiming to be consistent. I wasn't putting much awareness into that. For me, it was just a task that was given to me. It's a responsibility, and I do it because I'm a responsible being. It's not a problem for me to understand these principles, but I wasn't getting much from it, spiritually speaking. And then I did this for about 3 years, and it was nice. I started taking over a reception, and I started coordinating things there, and I started having more responsibilities and giving myself more, but not because I felt I was gaining much, again, from the practice of karma yoga, but because I enjoyed it. Yeah, being a receptionist, speaking to so many people every day and telling them how wonderful yoga is and how they can sign up for the courses, and getting to know people is very nice. It's very nice there to just stay and socialize a lot and see how happy people are after the classes and all these things. And that attracted me, so I was doing more of that. I was willing to give more of my time for that, simply because it felt good for me to do it. And then slowly, I started feeling how these hours of voluntary, for me they were voluntary work, not proper spiritual practice. This hour of voluntary work started pushing a bit into my free time, and I felt like I still want to do my own things. I wanted to write a book, namely. I realized I no longer have time. Okay, I practice hatha yoga, I practice meditation, I have a relationship that's full on, I do this voluntary work, I do also my work, the way I earn my money, and I also want to write a book. I don't have time. What should I take out? The thing that was the first option for me was to take out karma yoga. So I said, okay, because I'm not getting much, it's nice to socialize, but spiritually speaking, I'm not getting much out of this. So I'll just leave this aside, and I'll just devote that time to writing a book. What I did is I wrote to my spiritual master, to Greg, and I said, look, this is my thought. I'd like to write a book, and I feel that these 6-10 hours, whatever they were there of karma yoga per day, could be used better for that, for writing the book. And my beloved spiritual master said, yes, it's a very good idea, go write a book, but go and live in an ashram and write a book, and do this action as karma yoga. And go to Romania to do it. And it was a bit of a blow for me at the beginning, because I didn't want to move back to Romania. I liked England very much. But ultimately, after a few months, I decided to take the courageous step and move back to Romania and live in one of the ashrams in Bucharest there. And I was supposed to do my karma yoga, because in Romania they have the same system. Yeah, you live in the ashram, you do a few number of karma yoga hours per week, And there are many options, many places that you can do these karma yogas. You can do it in the kitchen where they cook for the entire system of ashrams in Bucharest. You can do it in the publishing house. You can do it in the printing house. Many places where you can do it. So because what I wanted to do is write a book, I was doing my karma yoga hours, my karma yoga time in the publishing house. So I went there to the publishing house and very proud. I told the guys, I'm here to write a book, and these are the hours that I'll devote every day for writing a book. And the chief editor there, the coordinator of the publishing house, said, yes, very nice, but first start learning a bit how to do that. So first, look, take this text and start editing them, and let's work together. Let's see how it goes. Let's see how you're doing that. So I said, okay, I'm gonna do that. So I started working. I didn't start writing my book. I started working towards editing material. So I started editing material, editing the books that we received at the publishing house, or the translations. And at first I had like 10 hours a week for doing this, and I was doing it at home in my room. It was very relaxed, very nice. But then at some point, because the publishing house wasn't really working and there wasn't much output from our activity, because everybody was doing it on their own, but there wasn't this cohesion, there wasn't this very structured way of working. So the coordinator decided, okay, let's now start working together, let's get an office. And we meet in the office and we start working there. So we started meeting in the office, and we had the same number of hours. We started meeting in the office, and then later, after a while, we noticed, okay, we can still improve our efficiency. So what can we do better? Okay, we set in a schedule, a fixed schedule. So now everybody comes at this hour to the publishing house. Everybody has to do this number of hours, and then it really became like an office job. An office job in which you weren't getting anything in return. Yeah, you weren't getting money, you weren't getting benefits. I mean, yeah, you were living in the ashram. That was a major benefit, but not the social benefits that usually come with a job. Yeah. So I started doing more and more and more of that, and yes, I was enjoying it. But I started noticing something when I was working at the publishing house. I started noticing that we were editing these texts, these spiritual texts, which were then reaching people, and people would read them. And because people would read them, people would experience something deeper as a result of that. It would create an impact in people. And that was a link that I saw for the first time. When I was back in England and I was cleaning the toilets and I was printing the tables and I was saying hi at the reception desk, I didn't realize that I'm making an impact. I didn't realize that I'm bringing something necessarily better to the world. It was just me being focused on how much I like doing that. But here I realized, wait a second, these are some profound things, you know, and we're putting them out on the market, and then people read them, and maybe they decide to start meditating, maybe they decide to start practicing yoga, maybe they decide to transform their lives. And that was something for me. It made me think of the role I play as an individual, as a part in the whole. It made me consider this very deeply. What am I actually doing? Because everything that I do has an impact. Everything that I do creates these ripples. Now, when I do it for a personal reason, these ripples are a bit stained. They don't carry on that purity because I have an interest. There's a reason why I'm doing that action. I want something back from it. Even if I'm offering to people something very nice as a spiritual book, I want something back if I do it as a personal project. I want some rewards. I want some validation. I want to be seen as a good editor, as a good writer of spirituality, as a good translator, whatever my role would have been there. But when I was doing it in the karma yoga system, when I was doing it as a karma yoga, I realized that I'm not, I just selfless. I'm just selfless in doing that. I'm not expecting anything in return, and I'm just I'm leaving it all in the hands of the Supreme, in the hands of the universe, because the universe knows what to do best with anything. And I'm not just putting there my own direction, my own intention. I just offer it all to the universe. And that was a shift for me in understanding karma yoga. And it made me become much more attentive to how I do it, and it made me want to do it even more, because I noticed there's this beneficial impact that a karma yogi has on the whole, on the environment, on the people around. It's a very beautiful thing to notice. And I wanted to do more of that. I wanted to be more of service. So that awakened in me in that moment. I completely dropped my project about writing a book because I realized how selfish it was in the first place. I just wanted to become a writer who's famous and who everybody appreciates, because I was good at writing literature up until then. And when I realized that, comparing my initial intentions, writing a book to be a famous writer because I had this fascination with famous writers, and then doing things that are pure, that are not having any of these personal intentions, and just offering that completely to the universe so that the universe decides what to do with it. When I was just comparing these things, I would say, no, I'm not writing the book like this. If I would ever need to write the book because the universe needs me to write the book, I would do it, but not because I want to become a famous writer. So I'm just gonna drop the book. So I dropped the book. I dropped the book and I stayed in the ashram for 3.5 years. Initially, the plan was, my spiritual master said, 3 years, try 3 years and see how it goes. And I said, okay, I'm trying 3 years. And now, life in an ashram in Bucharest is not simple when you compare it to the social life people normally have, because there are rules. There's a certain community there that has its own way of being, which is very interesting if you're very keen on spirituality. But if you're keen on social life, it's not so appealing. If you're just keen on having the normal life that everybody else has, well, that will not be a pleasant experience for you. And I still wanted a bit of this social life. I still wanted to, earn money, to have a nice life, to have a comfortable life. Spirituality was nice for me, but I still had some of these dreams and some of these desires and some of these intentions. So at the end of these 3.5 years, I said, okay, guys, it was a very nice experience. I'm saying goodbye, and I'm moving out.
Hey guys, if you like this video, make sure to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel for more content on spirituality, Tantra and more.
And if you want to sign up for our online classes or for our retreats, you can see our website on the description below.